Hey, welcome. We're live. I can't believe it. I am Key. This is our universal talk. I believe. Let's see, let's get everything situated. So, talking about twin flames, soulmates, karmics. We all have experienced those things. Yet, what is usually not spoken about is the passion that goes with it. Meaning to say, can a pure heart be passionate? Can an unclean heart be passionate? Or does it take impurity and purity to be passionate? And the reason why that's been going on in my mind for quite some time when it comes to bringing out the passion in you and what you love. Can passion truly bring prosperity? That, to me, has always been a philosophy. But not just a philosophy to me, but an actual physical fact, not just an opinion. And the only way that can be expressed is by walking through them. The arts is everything to me. And in order to understand that, I had to go through some challenging and beautiful experiences with karmic relationships, twin flame relationships, even soulmate. Let's start with the karmic. How do you know when you have been passionate through a karmic relationship? Well, for me, experiencing karmic is like saying what you give is what is going to come back to you, like a boomerang. And in relationships, a karmic is supposed to show you what does happen when you truly give to another. Not what you're saying you give, because it's like, what's the best way to describe this here? Yeah, I have a lot of pillows. My body's been changing too physically. The more movement I've been doing, the more, hey, this whole backside's been on me. So, karmic is supposed to show you not just one side of the coin, but the other side as well. Hey, what's going on, Nefits? So yes, if you're in the house, press that thumbs up. You're in attendance. I like to keep my receipts knowing that we getting this talk on. I ain't just talking. Can you hear me? Let me know. So, okay. Can you hear me? Let me know though. So yes, karmic is supposed to show you what you give out at times is not what we really give out. At moments, we're actually giving this part here. We can feel it, and the person can feel it as well. That's why when they come back to us, they showing us the one side they're feeling. And we're like, oh, okay, what's going on, guys? They're showing us one side. And we complain or we feel conflicted on this one side because, like, wait, you didn't come to me this way. No. When you're with somebody, you come as you are, both this side, the shadow side, and in between. Yet when we think that we have to alter, we start to do this. And that feels incomplete. Thank you. So a karmic is here to really show us, we may say this is what we're giving. If we were really giving that, then we would get that back. Is we were giving this part and the shadow part and the in-between part, that conscious and unconsciousness of ourselves, then we would not ever have to worry about which side a person is truly giving us. Because we know if we were really giving our whole selves, we wouldn't really think about this. What do you guys think when it comes to karmic? Because a lot of times we experience karmic not just in intimate relationships. We experience it through friendships. We experience it through family. We experience it through our work. We experience it even through the relationship we have with ourselves. And I can say, personally, I experienced this where I'm thinking, hey, am I giving this part only when it comes to what I love? Am I giving the shadow side of who I am? Am I giving the in-between? So then lies the question, your passion has to walk in it anyway. Because when a karmic shows you or reacts to you like, well, I feel something's missing, and you know what they really want to say, but they don't have the right words yet. What they're trying to really say is, who are you as a whole? I don't want to just see your perfections. I want to know your imperfections. I want to know your in-between. I want to know who you are to simply be you. So, let's see what the class is, what we saying in the talk. Okay, you hear me loud clear? Hey, Rob. Oh, my brother. What's up? So what you guys think? Yo, right? Like my actual brothers in the talk. So now we got some Aries raw energy up in here. What is karmic from a masculine's point of view? Is it what you give out, what you get back? Anybody, let me know. Because y'all heard my thoughts on it. Because we got, matter of fact, as y'all breaking it down, matter of fact, God, Mother, Father, what should we know about karmics? Look at that. High priest, priestess. This is what we should know about karmic. High priest and priestess is all about healers, teachers. And to be a healer or a teacher, that means you would have to, let me see what people say. Let me see. Yo, it is, and I'm happy about it. Yes, to have masculine, I'm happy to have someone that knows me. So he could tell you if I'm playing games with you or telling you the truth, honestly. Because Aries they don't really care to sugarcoat nothing. They don't sugarcoat sugar. That's an S. That's what Scorpio, we could put some sauce on. We sugarcoat a little bit. Aries, now they'll postpone the ass whooping, but before they do that, there'll be at least an anchor of understanding first, like a father figure. You know, so let's see. Now, yeah, high priest, priestess. Now, when it comes to that, what should we know about that? Comics show us the spirituality and religion. Why? That it bring the comics. Now, why would a comic bring out spirituality and religion? Because in some way, shape, or form, our namesake, who we are, gives an energy of how we can react. A lot of times I used to think that can't be, right? It took to have a karmic relationship to actually bring out actually the high priest and priestess side of myself. Meaning, when being confronted on what and who I am, I wanted to shy away from that. I wanted to disguise that. Because when reading about a high priest or priestess, a lot of them were exiled. A lot of them were burned. A lot of them were prosecuted. A lot of them looked like or were seen as phonies when it's really not true. When being around a karmic, you had to bring out that side of you that you keep to yourself. And a lot of times that is our biblical side of who we are. And that doesn't matter what religion you are. Spirituality and religion goes hand in hand. Spirit and the relic in you. You're a natural religion. How do you think we even got religion? It took people to make that. And to walk in a light that they felt and knew can not only affect them, but so many others. And that takes, again, a karmic to come in and say, well, what is the higher and high priestess in you? What is the higher consciousness of you? So In example, we're on Valentine's Day. And Valentine's Day is in a shape or form showing what you value, what you vow, and bringing that out with no doubts, no fears, no concerns. The only way that can karmically happen is if you are actually feeling that way. When you feel that way, that means you're doing something to feel that way. You're not just simply saying it like, oh, I feel good about myself. I feel connected in this relationship. If you do, then a karmic would ask you how and then why. What are you really trying to get from this relationship? Would be your guide and your guides in the first place. Let's see. And yeah, here we go with the cards because it shows you right here. Now we're going to see about the actions to clarify these trinities. Just to clarify, because we just said karmics are here to show us what we give is what we get back. You see the two G's, right? You get what you give. If I go to the grocery store and I wanted to get bread, I gotta know what brand of bread I want will determine what kind of money I should have in my hand. If I go and get an expensive bread, a bread that I'm not used to getting, yet I know it does benefit me and the people in my home, what would I be doing when I get to the cash register? I would actually have to have that same amount of change. Now, if I'm not used to getting quality bread, and I'm used to getting the standard type of bread, which is what everybody should or probably gets, then it's of local value. So then I'm expecting to spend maybe $2, $1.99, $2.05 or some change like that, compared to a name brand that goes about $3 to $4, possibly $5. Now somebody would say, well, that's a ditty. You go down there to buy expensive bread. Or you think you uppity, why would you go and buy bread? Okay. Is it where I'm getting this bread at? If I'm getting it from a local grocery store, then I can now understand karmically why a person in a store would say that. If I'm going to a local store and getting used to getting local bread, that's $2. If the same people that see me go into a grocery store now see me buy $4 or $5 bread, now they would be curious to ask, well, why am I changing my brand? And I would have to acknowledge that I'm changing it because now I'm seeing differently what I'm buying. I'm not just buying the brand. I'm also buying the brand in which makes the bread. The value in which they put in making the bread compared to what the person could have been if they made the local standard bread. What kind of energy was put into that to make it just $2 compared to the $5 bread? Would it have been differently if I went into an upscale grocery store? I have a local grocery store and I have a Fairway next to me. If I went into Fairway, would that be the question of what bread I'm getting? Maybe it'd be a different question than that. But then it goes back to karmically, the lesson being learned is, what are you trying to get out of this relationship? The relationship I was trying to get from the bread is bad enough. By blood type, I should not get bread. But if I'm going to get bread, I had to learn from my sis, Nephis, to get Ezekiel bread. Because from my A blood type, Ezekiel bread actually balanced my body correctly and not get me too much sugar. So if I went into my local grocery store and someone asked me that, I would have more knowledge now to say, this is why, than to get just angry at why you picking on what I'm doing. It's not affecting you, but in a way it is. Because someone is watching, just like someone is walking in your relationship with you. They have to look at what you naturally do, walk with you and what you naturally do. Then see how you evolve. And as you're evolving, now the third thing would be, where did it lead you to, and how are they a part of that equation? If you don't know that, that's when karmic feels like crap and not like kindness. It could be kind or it could be crap. It could be the K or it could be the C. What's it gonna be? And we all have that free will to walk both paths. That's the cool part. Because in order to do that, then we would have to say, okay, how do we have that opportunity to actually understand the karmic? Relate the bread to who you are as a person. What is your bread and butter to you? Is it your talent? Is it who you are as a person? Is it even acknowledging your shadow side? If we could acknowledge the light, which is the sun, then why can't we not acknowledge the moon side of ourselves? As if that's a maddening place to go. If it was so maddening, we wouldn't have the moon. We wouldn't have the waters. We wouldn't have this earth. So, let's see how karmics actually affects us emotionally, energetically. Let's see that. How does karmics emotionally, energetically influence us? How does the karmic relationship emotionally, energetically influence us? Okay. Wow. All right. Let's go with the High Priestess first, shall we? When we figure out why we are, what is the sense of being with a person, it's because they bring out the energy of incitement. Ecstasy. Even endings. Ecstasy. Because when we meet this karmic, it's like a natural high. It's like someone other than ourselves knew what truly gets us outside of our shell, without even being born around us, without even being our friend first. Something about their energy brings out that ecstasy, that highness of, wow, I didn't know that my being could become this when with another person. Excitement, because when a karmic comes into our lives, first, we're surprised this person is even invited, or that we even entertain the thought of this person being in our space. Maybe because the differences of who they are. Let's see who's in. Who's in? Let's see. Hey, Iris Jones. Hi. Hello, guys. Hello. So we talking about karmics first. What you know about karmics? Let me hear your input. Because karmics definitely, what we give is what we get back. What we really give. Not what we think we outwardly give. Because outward giveness feels like an empty shell. When we outwardly and inwardly give, without question, that unconditional love, that's when we have no doubts. Yet, when we meet a karmic, they give us this excitement to wonder why we have connected to this person in the first place. We would normally not meet this person and talk to them on the street naturally, or befriend them, or want a relationship with them, or want to work with them, or any shape or form. So what? Oh, you have nothing but so we got to ask ourselves if we have, and again, I'm with you guys, I'm in the same boat, experiencing karmic relationships, I'm experiencing twin flame relationships, I'm experiencing soulmate relationships, all at once, different times in the day, throughout the week. And I can say it is at moments shocking, surprising, scary, yet stimulating to help me see what each one plays a part in, because they're a reflection of us. Karmic is really a mirror image of who we are. That's deep, meaning I could outwardly look like I'm okay, but inside I could be nervous, scared, anxious. You know who would actually know this is a karmic. Because when they're sitting right next to me, or when they sit right next to us as a person, our true energy is radiating through them. That's what they're feeling. They're not just hearing what we're saying. They're feeling first, and then listening to see if what we're saying match with that feeling. If it doesn't, that's when we get the eight of air. That's when we get a lot, what they call it, an illusion of being trapped. We have all these forces, following this one horse. Imagine you're that horse, you're that stallion, you that mystery that everyone wants to get at. But yet, look at this. You know what this unicorn is thinking? You do know y'all look just like me. Why are y'all following me? But guess what? What is not being realized with the karmic is this is all his or her mental state, psychological state, spiritual state, sexual state, sensual state. Every state of who they are that they suppress is trying to catch up with them, to be acknowledged, to be acknowledged, to be acknowledged. They just want that one right here to acknowledge that these are him or her. Whatever side that we think should be in the shadows, our karmic will bring that out so swiftly that we're left with coming to that conclusion that, wow, I have to stand in my passion on what purpose I have and what I'm doing. Even in the times when I'm talking or physically doing something, a karmic brings that out. It gives us a guide to ask the question, What are you trying to get from each relationship? For real. And go about that accordingly. And be okay with that. Acknowledge that and understand it is okay. If you're going in a relationship to find what makes you, then understand that person is going to show you everything that you thought you suppressed in physical form. For you to acknowledge it in the atmosphere and communicate that. Why? Because at the end, it takes two to tangle. The energy is not just your own. The energy is also of another. 4, 4 makes 8. You came with what cultivates you. That person came with what cultivates them. You came with makes you feel comfortable. They came with 4 things that make them feel comfortable. You came with things that make you feel carefree. They came with 4 things that made them feel carefree. It's an equal exchange. So as soon as we feel like something's off, then before we ask that question, is our partner off? We have to ask that question, what we feel is off within ourselves first. So now that might offend some people because it's easier for us to look outside of ourselves. I've been known to do that. I've been known to tell somebody, oh, you're not giving me enough of your energy. You're not giving me, when I say energy, you're not giving me enough of your time. Then you know what the partner would have to ask me in a more passionate manner? Again, you're talking about passion. Because that passion has a purpose. You know what this partner had to say? Well, define what type of time are you talking about? Do you want 8 hours of my time? Because as a karmic, if you get 8 hours of my time, then, and my ears are ringing, so this must be a true sequence that I must say as a sentence. If you want 8 hours of my time, do you know what that would mean for me as a person? I would actually have to cut maybe 4 hours of my, or 4 hours of my work hours. So that means I will either have to decrease the amount of hours I work and ask for a decrease in hours, or find another job where I can actually spend more time with you, 8 hours of time with you. Then, before I even do this, I gotta ask, because again, I'm gonna have to go to my boss. Even if I am my own boss, I would have to ask myself, if I have my own business, well then, do you want time during the day? Or are you talking about at night? How do you want to spend time? And that's not being furious. That's not being rude. If you really want 8 hours of somebody's time, then you would have to have more detail of what way do you want their time. So that way they can say, well, if you want it in this way, then I could alter not the time I work, because we gotta have finances, right? Okay, I do certain hobbies or certain things that I can reduce to spend with you. But these are the things I would have to cut down to spend with you. These are things I need you to understand too. In order for me to give you what you want, I would actually have to give something away to give you what you want. Or I would literally have to have energy after doing everything I need to do to have that same focus and energy on you. Because I love you. I love you because I love me. And I know if I wanted more time with myself, I know what I would cut down. I have altered my job just to be around my daughter because I love her. I could have simply tried to find a babysitter, but then that would mean I would have to really trust who I have around my child. That would mean I would really have to evaluate and have them evaluate me, go through those processes. And I didn't feel ready for that. I had to do something that I was scared to do, which is change. Because my connection was my daughter. I love her, but how do I show that? By changing my time. And my daughter had to ask me, well, what do? You always home. I said, well, now I'm always home. But when you was 1 to 4 years old, I did not see you. Your father had to tell me when you walked. Your grandmother had to tell me when you talked. Your godmother had to tell me when you were finally eating solids. Your aunts had to tell me what kind of clothes you like. And that showed me that I needed to alter my time. Was my daughter an example of a karmic? Yes. So, let's see what's being said. And it's funny. You said too, it's interesting. Not funny. Let me say it in a different way. It is interesting you say 2 years. Because karmically, what was the feeling of feeling trapped for 2 years? For me, when I felt trapped, and it was with a twin flame, it's because a twin flame has a combination of a karmic, but then shows you what you want to charge towards. And a twin flame shows you what you want to charge towards. What is your truth? A twin flame will test you on that. What is your truth, not anybody else's? You can stem from that to come up with your fact, but your soul, your mind, all must be aligned in what you speak of as truth to you. Because when it's something truthful to you, you'll stand behind that. Because you'll say, I know what I know, and I can prove that. A twin flame will definitely test you. So let's be said here. Okay. Yes. Twin flames. Thank you. Thank you, Lucan. But we trying to keep it classy. Because again, I'm a horn. So a horn could be of a heavenly horn, or an actual horn. Yes, that's all right. That's cool. I want to know, Bumpkin, what is your insight on twin flames? Thank you, Niffus. What do you guys think about twin flames? Because twin flames, okay, this is how you could tell about a twin flame. This goes right back into what someone said about being trapped. when we're trapped, that's when we know we're trying to bring out truth. Truth requires passion. Fire brings out the passion. Fire brings out what drives you. A drive is like your own engine. You're the engine. Little engine that could. You're trucking along. Again, trucking along. What are you trucking along towards? That requires you to look at your mature side of who you are and the adolescence or the young person that you were as well. Even if this isn't a form of another, this goes right back into a twin flame. A twin flame could either be a young person. If you're a younger person, it could be an older person there to show you what do you see as truth, what do you see as talent. Because if you notice, when you're around a twin flame, then you're around a time when you're bringing out your talent. You're around a time when you're bringing out who you are more openly. But you're not speaking it yet, but you're bringing it out more openly. Okay? You're bringing it out more openly. So, when you're bringing it out more openly, then it requires, because I'm trying to figure out where's the angle, but I can't, I don't really care. You come into your own new partnerships or contracts. Every day we do a contract. We either do it verbally, we either shake hands on it, written form. When you meet a twin flame, you're coming into a time where you're tired of doing what you know is tried and true. You feel it, you already know it. It's like when I met a twin flame, letter M, that's when I was discovering who I am spiritually. And a lot of people, when we come into who we are spiritually, it makes us want to charge towards what our soul feels connected to. Not just anymore what our body or our mind only feels connected to. What our soul feels connected to. And a twin flame is going to be there to teach a lesson on if that is truly your truth, will you stand by it? Again, even though this person is testing you, they still gotta be walking in the relationship with you to even make that statement. So let me see what everybody's saying. Let me see, Miss Jones. Okay. See? And when you do that, that's when you either meet a karmic, a twin flame, or a soulmate. Now, the contract, this is where the Two of Fire comes in. The contract could come by the bond that you have with that person. What made you bond when you met that person, when you were on that spiritual path? Were they spiritual like you? I can tell you personally from my twin flame experience, when I was walking in a spiritual path, that person was not on that same page with me. In fact, I was called mystical magical, and I couldn't stand that. I was like, why you call me mystical magical? He didn't understand. Maybe he did. I got infuriated by it because in a way it took me back to a time in my life, 2 years old, bringing out my talent where it looked mystical and magical. It looked like make-believe. Like, oh, that's cute, you're singing. Oh, that's cute, you're talking. Oh, that's cute. You know, it wasn't considered serious or taken into consciousness at least. And I didn't know how to speak the way I'm speaking to you guys now. I was speaking a way where the horns would come out. Like, what are you doing? What do you call me, a witch? And he's like, well, the shoe fit. I'm like, and it bothered me because as a little girl, when kids used to pick on me, they called me a witch and throw stones at me. Little pebbles, get a little twig and hit me with it. So because I didn't heal that, it made me react to the twin flame, and he started to see. He said, wait a minute. If this is who you are, then you should be prepared for somebody like me. Truthfully. What's going on, guys? Hey, what's up, studio? We talk about twin flame now. Twin flame brings out the truth in you. Do you believe that, studio? When you meet a twin flame, that's when you're walking in what makes you true. What is truth to you? And it does not have any bias, any prejudice, because it is your truth and your truth alone. Yet, when you meet a twin flame, they're there to test you to say, is that really your truth alone? Because at some point, you're going to have to physically walk that truth. And if you're not prepared, then you will get some turbulence. And as much as I wanted to be mad at the M, I couldn't be mad at him because he showed me in his own way, being a magi in his own right, that when you're in your spiritual journey, it is okay to express your truth to your twin flame, because in reality, they sought you out too, to bring that side of themselves out. The twin flame is not just there to give us turbulence. The twin flame is to bring out and remind us the treasure who we are. Because again, in order for us to know that, we would have to have another person show us this. So let's see. That's you on time, man. Please, I'm just getting started. We on twin flame now. I did karmic. We're on twin flames, and I didn't even pull out the cards for twin flames. So you're actually right on time. I don't really believe in lateness. When you come, that meant you come for that very reason. You came at the right time. Maybe you didn't need to hear about karmics. Maybe you need to hear about twin flames and soulmates. Because if I'm not mistaken, studio, I think you were talking about soulmates before. Right, and with self-love, you see, look, I'll be dressing up now. Look, to even show myself, please. See? Yeah, come on. We in the building. Studios in the building. Show the love to everybody. Come on now. So, what do you think twin flames are? I just said twin flames are bringing out our truth. And again, it's not what we outwardly show as truth. It's also what we inwardly have as truth. They're expecting to see that too. So how do we even get there? I can tell you for me, my twin flame got mad at me because he's like, well, why you don't want to manifest? And I said, well, I do want to manifest. My issue is I don't like to manifest alone. I love people. I grow and learn from people. So to me, it would feel foolish to manifest on my own. What I didn't understand he was trying to show me was, before you get other people, you got to know how to manifest on your own, because you're manifesting right now. If you don't realize that you're making moves in your life, that's manifestation. If you're not seeing the measurements of what you have already done, then you're going to always miss those opportunities, or you're going to always see or feel like you're missing opportunities when it's always going to be in front of you. I had to learn that through a twin flame. That talent is always going to be there for you to use. Love is always going to be there for you to love it. It is what you really see as truth when you're with this person. How do you really see love? Is exactly what that person's going to bring out in the opposite. For you to tell the truth on what you really see in that area of the relationship. Yes, see? You have to be tested on someone that you're passionate for. One way to describe this is, let's see what the cards say on this. Because I gotta have the cards speak before I even give an example on that. Let's see. About twin flames. What should we know about twin flames? What should we know about twin flames? Wow. Alright. Imprisonment or slavery. We just talked about being tested, right? When a person that is passionately loves you, you know why they have to test you? Because what you really feel imprisoned about is exactly what's going to get you out of it. Example. How do you really want to be treated in a relationship? Truthfully. Not what you hear people say. Like, what makes you feel treasured? What makes you feel like a treat? What makes you feel triumphant? What makes you feel talented? What makes you feel the tranquility in you when it comes to what you truly want in a relationship? If you do not acknowledge that passion, because that's a passion, your answer is going to be a passionate one. It's not coming from a place of flight. It's not coming from a place of, I don't know. It's not coming from that. It's coming from a place of principle. It's coming from a place inside of you that wants to be opened. It's already open. It wants you to know it's open for you to walk through and out of. If you want a tranquil relationship, what does that really look like to you? One way to find that out when you start making changes. You notice how when you make changes in a relationship, the first thing that comes to mind is, why are you making changes? A twin flame will test you on, why are you making changes? Why you want to take the lead all of a sudden? If you were, I'm a Taurus, right? Number 2, you would think, and this is how I've been doing, I would literally sit in the passenger side in my own vehicle, meaning, yes, I'm running my life, but I would have my twin flame tell me exactly what tour guide to do for me to feel like I'm doing something. Now, you know he's going to look at me like, you already been making stuff happen, but you telling me every time I tell you to do something, you do it, and it works. Why you couldn't just do that for yourself? And I would just look like, you know what, that's a good question. Why I didn't do that just for myself? Why I didn't feel the passion to want to do that for myself? And it is not like he asked me, it wasn't like he challenged me or tested me on something that was not in my arena that I wanted to do. Again, twin flames are there to listen what you talk about and then see if you're going to do it. What you talk about, what you really feel passionate in doing, what you passionately talk about, that's what your twin flame going to test you on. And when you do, you know what they do? They see that you already a leader. They be like, wait, you already a leader? You're a leader. I already know that. You didn't know you were a leader? Let me test you on that. Or when you flirt with someone, teasing, and it's not always being tested. Sometimes you get teased in too. Sometimes to be teased on the things that make you a form of a person with passion. Everything that you are is tantalizing to that person. That's why you have that twin flame. That twin seen your flame, and they seen that it matched their flame, and they came to you. Now the question is, do you know your own flame? Do you know your own passion? We say we're passionate. I can say I'm passionate, but what am I really passionate about? What am I really passionate about? And that's what a twin flame would do, is to test and to tease, to talk and flirt and find out what makes you passionate. A twin flame wants to find out what makes you build foundations, wants to find out what makes you be a flirt, wants to find out what makes you become fruitful. And when you do fruitful, meaning, what is your job? What is your career goals? What do you do? And why do you do it? Because they really care. The twin flame is there to remind you, what do you really care about? And are you really doing that? That's why it's hard to leave a twin flame. Because inwardly we know they are our twin. They are our polar opposite. They're everything that we know we are. We just hide it. They outwardly are it. And guess what? They see us the same way. It goes both ways. And we see them as a flirtatious person. What do you think they see us as? Like, this is where it can be a turbulence or a treasure. Because both sides are passionate on what they're going to speak on. And it's going to change the perception of what we were thinking all along. It has to take someone, like Ross said, someone of passion in our lives that we feel passionate about, for us to really understand the test, for us to understand what we see as a test, what we see as a treasure, what we see as a treat. And then feel good walking it. With the fire, because any Aries, Leo, Sagittarius will tell you, when they walk because they will it. They didn't ask somebody to walk the way they want to. They didn't look at somebody to see how they want to walk. They walked it. They thought it. Let me think about it, then did it. They might put a little, make sure everything is in the up and up, but they're still doing it. And this is what the twin flame, again, flame, that fire. They're there to bring out the fire in you. And the fire in you, you might be amazed how it feels and how it looks like. That's the whole point of why they're there. I know when I met my twin flames, and I had two, both air signs, interesting enough. So wait, are you telling me my twin flames are always around air signs? And Geminis at the top of that. Two Geminis. Same birthday. Different age. Now, you can't get no twinner than that. Two twin flames in my life. Same birthday. Same month. Same month, same day. The only difference is their year. And both of them, one is my daughter's father. He reminded me what I really feel passionate about. And we went through a lot of different journeys on that walk together. Because when you show your passion, guess what you gotta actually find out too? Your partner's passion. So you have to get ready for that. Like, if the person has to see your passion, your passionate side in every way, then we have to be prepared to see our partner or the person that we care about, their passion, with openness and not bias. Why? Because we were just talking about earlier, when you walk in your spirituality, when you walk as a being or just as a person that's knowing themselves more and more, you become a chief in your own right. You become a shaman in your own source inside of you and outside. Once you go through twin flames, you'll realize that you get stronger, you get more understanding. Even when I'm not with my twin flame anymore, but I understand them now. I understand why they had to be in my atmosphere, because the things I wanted to tuck away, they brought to light. And at times you're going to not like them for that. At times you're not even going to like that you didn't like that they brought that outside of you, because you know that is a part of you. It's like you punishing them is really punishing yourself. So when you're not with a twin flame, or if you're with a twin flame right now, they're there. This is how you could tell. Do they bring out the truth in you without them even trying? Do they bring out the passion in you without them even practicing it? It kind of makes you pissed off. You be like, how do you do that without, like, you just, that pestered me a little bit. Like, you're not even kin to me. How did you figure that out so quickly? But they're there to bring out your passion. They're there to bring out your truth. Okay, Jones. Thank you. Okay, so that makes sense? Okay. Because now mind you, I had to walk in this, but that also means someone else had to walk in it too. So when you walk through this, Sandra, that means that someone is walking with you as well. So even the things that you don't, like when they're not around you, they're still walking with you. Remember, when you're with a twin flame, they still feel your flame when you're not around. They still feel your essence when you're not there. So when you do come back together, that's when your chief side comes out. That's when your spiritual side comes out. That's when your passionate side comes out. And the passionate side comes from within. Before we take a start in our passion, it comes from within. When you go within inside yourself, you're going within the source within inside yourself. So when this person came to you, you inwardly asked for something. So always go back when you meet somebody and ask yourself, what was I thinking? What was I speaking of when meeting this person, before I met this person at all? That will give you a blueprint on why you met, why you are finding more of who you are, not just through this person, but through yourself. Because the twin flame has you acknowledge yourself a lot more. It helps you, your twin flame lets you see the transformation in you. So when you give yourself self-love, it's because you know, when you give yourself love, you know deep down that person, whoever it is going to give you that love back and even more. What does that look like? What does it feel like? You go within to find that out. You say, okay, I know when I like to, what gets me going? For me, what gets me going, I like singing and walking. I like singing and walking. I like dancing. Would that, if I did that as a regimen, would that make me feel more loving towards myself? Because again, I have to do a physical exercise. A physical exercise. Normally I have the heater on, but I don't need that. I'm naturally getting hot on this topic. When you have to go within, what does it say? You're spending time in quiet meditation, spiritual teaching. You're a spiritual teacher. And you're self-discovering. So when you meet your twin flame, you're already in a state of self-discovery. That happened for me. I know it happened for Miss Jones. I was learning about crystals and how they heal you, how they help you to unlock energies that felt dormant but was there. And when I met my twin flame, I just finished literally doing a sacred mother ritual. And as I finished doing the ritual outside with my stone, and that's the same stone that you see on the table at times, I thought of how would it feel to be me and bring out my talent. And I fell on my right leg. So I knew whatever I asked for was going to be hard, but it's going to be worth it. Didn't think nothing of it. I went into a movie store to get movies, even though I didn't need any, but I was like, I want to get something new. Again, I just asked at that time to bring out my talent. I love movies. I love cinema. I love music. I love soundtracks. So when I went in, I didn't think I would have met my twin flame. And when we touched hands, to him, it felt like electrical charge. But to me, I seen a movie in slow motion, who he was as a talent and who I am as a talent and how and why we could meet. Now, I didn't know why I felt like that until as I got to know him, and that's when I was learning about inner alchemy. How to, again, I asked to find a way to bring out my talent and feel good about that. So I started reading about inner alchemy. So when we walked outside, he asked me, why did I study inner alchemy? And I told him about what I wanted to manifest as a talent. And he was like, it's interesting you say that because I'm an artist. I'm like, okay. But once I seen his art, I said, wow, you are an artist. So I could see why we met. We have something in common. So why am I meeting you now? And he had to challenge me. He had to show me without even realizing his own position. A lot of times we think the twin flame knows their position as a twin flame. They don't. A karmic doesn't know that they're a karmic. A soulmate doesn't know that they're a soulmate. When we find, like anything in the world, a definition to what we're feeling and what we're seeing through reactions, that's when we can find a remedy. That's when we can find a solution. So, when we go within to discover that, that's when we find out we are that beacon of light. You see how this beacon of light looks like an acorn or actual heart? I'm trying to focus in on it. I'm still learning this. The camera is changing too. It looks like an actual heart. So you're gonna see it? It looks like an actual heart or an acorn. Now, if it's an acorn, a squirrel would need an acorn to set up a harvest before it gets cold or before it's even hard to find food. So it has to know naturally where to go. And a lot of times they will probably find based on another squirrel. Again, this is the heart. What you are passionate about, what your heart desires. Your twin flame likes that match. And it cannot go out. Every time you're around them, it happens. Whether it be through talking, through your actions, through their actions, they're there. Even their actions also show you what you wanted to do or what you always recognized but you wanted to be aligned with and understand it more. So they're there to help you to understand also what you do allow, what you do not allow, what do you tolerate, what you don't tolerate, what you treasure, what you do not treasure, what do you see as a treat, what do you not see as a treat. And this is your own personal truth, but the only way you will know that is by an interaction with another. So, let's see what's being said, because we're going to go to soulmates too. All right. So, last card for twin flames. Twin flames traveled to see their fire, what they consider as a foundation, brought them to you. Now, that's something that they don't tell you first. Maybe they won't ever. But you will start to see, as you're connecting with them, why that is. And a lot of things about twin flames is that chase and run, that running and chasing, on and off, like tennis, on and off, volleyball, back and forth. It back and forth to the point you're like, wait, what's up? And the traveling is also to show us when our twin flame goes in and out of our lives. At first, it hurts. It troubles us because we're wondering, why do you gotta leave when things get tough? Or why do you gotta leave when things feel tight? Why do you have to leave when it's a negative or an energy that you can't endure? Now, when we're thinking that, it goes both ways. We got to ask ourselves, when have we ever walked away? When have we ever walked away when things got tight? When have we ever walked away when things got hard? When have we ever walked away when we just didn't know a way and we didn't want to tell that we just didn't know a way, so we rather walk away? When we go back in our experiences, in our walk, in that answer, then when that twin flame does it, we can sit back and say, without even saying it, I get it. You're walking away because you're worried about something. You're walking away because you want something, you need something, but you don't know if you deserve it. You're walking away because you don't really know what you wanted from this. And you don't want to be wrong for that. Or be labeled as wrong for even having a relationship when you didn't know what you wanted in the first place. Because in our universe, in our society, we do blame that. But then again, we have to go back and ask ourselves, when have we walked away from something? I've walked away from things when things got tight. I walked away from things when things were good. I walked away when things were beautiful. And stayed longer at times when it was just not good. And at times I did blame that person. But you know what? I had to look at myself and say, well, why was I staying on particular matters? Thank you. Why was I? So we have to ask ourselves when we get that back and forth, and this is what made me stop with the twin flame. It's because I didn't mind the back and forth. That didn't bother me because I experienced, like I said, myself walking away in different situations, whether it be good or bad. So I understood why this person could walk away, why they have walked away before and come back, leave and come back. Now I stopped it because it wasn't them. I asked myself, is that something I want though? Is this something I need? Is this something that really I desire to experience anymore? And when I had to acknowledge that I didn't, then I had to react like that. That's where the standards and the boundaries, or the standards and values, come into play. Because the twin flame helps you to understand what is your real truth when it comes to what you value and what you stand by. And are you willing to stand by it and not to speak it? Because when I had to leave my twin flame, I didn't just had to speak it anymore. Because I spoke those things before. But I actually had to stand in it. Not standing, like say I'm standing, but I'm like this. No. I had to, when I say stand, I stand in it. Without being rude, without being biased, without being precious. I just simply stand in what I say. Now, at first, like anybody, they're going to test to see if you're going to truly stand in what you say. If you don't, can we really get mad when they walk away or use the same patterns? No. Because now we see why they do it. I had to see that, and that hurt. Because I thought the experience that I shared with this person would not have me to still be tested in that type of manner. But again, sometimes in life, people are there to see if what you say is what you're going to stand by. Even if that means separating. Even if that means staying together. It really depends on you and what you are willing to stick by without anybody pressuring you. So, let's see, what does soulmates, what do we learn from soulmates? Let's see what we seeing up in here. Hey, what's up, Studio and Sandra? Thank you, Studio. Thank you, guys. Hi, wonderful life. What's going on? Okay, hold on. I have. Okay, take my time. Okay. I'm on 15%, so you know this is the last thing. It's the soulmate anyway. So, hold on. Let me do it this way. Yeah, do it that way. Okay. Okay, we ready. We back. Hi, what's up, wonderful life? So you good? You in a good time? Because we're gonna do the last one, which is soulmate. Okay. Thank you, Studio. Thank you, life. Thank you, guys. So now we on soulmate. What should we know about soulmate? Okay. This is going to be interesting. Okay. Often, we just said twin flames, or one aspect to have as thought is twin flame is there to show or to bring out the truth that's within, outside of us. To bring out that passion that's within, outside of us. Because our passion has a purpose. Our passion has a path. When we finally stand in our truth, whatever that is, we might come across a soulmate. And a soulmate brings out the orphan side of us. What we felt abandoning. What we have experienced when it comes to abandonment. What we have experienced when it comes to being alone. What we have experienced when it comes to being our own best friend, being our own true love, being our own soulmate, being our own karmic, being our own twin flame for ourselves. What does that mean? And when you walk and realize your truth, now you're stepping into your higher self. And when you're your higher self, sometimes you are going to feel alone. And a soulmate is a person that your soul feels like they have made it before. Your soul and that other person's soul knows, not just feels, but knows they have made it before. They just needed to know why. And in order to do that, you or a soulmate will show you what makes your soul become a mate. And what makes a soul become a mate is by becoming your own best friend. Why? Because your soulmate at times will not always be there in physical form. A lot of times our soulmate interacts with us in the spiritual world, in the spiritual realm. Prime example, when you're dreaming. I had this experience many times before, where I would dream of a place, a beautiful place that I always wanted to make as a home. And I seen my soulmate there. And I interacted with my soulmate as if we were already mates already. And I would always wake up feeling really good and wanting to be more myself, or really wanting to see who I am as a soul. And one day, the person that I seen as a soulmate, or that I see as a soulmate, said, you know, I always have dreams of going to this particular place, and it's really nice, and it has these things in it and this thing. I'm like, you know my secret place? And he's like, what do you mean? I said, I dream that place every time when I think about my soulmate. And he's like, that's the same place I dream of walking towards. I'm interacting with someone that looks like you, but I can't see their face. I feel their energy, and their energy feels like you, but I didn't know to put those two together. I said, wow, now your soul understands like that person's soul does. So if you're wondering why a lot of times you might feel alone and feel abandoned with a soulmate, it's because a lot of things is not like the typical or the mundane relationships that we used to experiencing. We used to experiencing the physical. We're used to a person calling and physically being, sharing time and physical space and being in each other's face and, you know, altering around each other. A soulmate does not do that. A soulmate is trying to show us how to be our best selves before we are that best self for them. We would have to know our best selves for ourselves. And a lot of times that would mean a person to stand in the cut and let you be you. So what's being said? See? Yes. So again, a soulmate. Miss Jones has said it correctly. Yes. Everybody in here say it correctly. Ain't no wrong or right way. But I just like to say correctly because I like to give brownies points. Kudos. Because a lot of times we're not acknowledging when a person is right besides ourselves. For me, any answer that is spoken in this talk is correct. Because it's coming from your soul. And if it's coming from your soul, you have already stood and stand in that experience before. So who am I to say that you're wrong for your statement? I learned this through a soulmate. I learned this through a karmic and a twin flame. But we're now talking about soulmates. Soulmate allows you to see and feel when you have been abandoned. When my soulmate is not physically around me, at first I felt sad. At first I felt scorned. I felt like that person wanted to intentionally scorn me for something I don't know I did yet. And as I vocalized it, as I left him alone and entered this person's life, as that person left me alone and entered my life, I had to change that perception because I'm like, wait, something's not right with this. Why am I getting sad that I cannot see this person? When this person wasn't physically around me before, I wasn't sad. So why am I feeling sad now that I have this person in my life? Because attachment, we don't want to feel alone. As a being, as a human being, we're social creatures. We're supposed to be around other people. Yet, in truth, human beings are really introverts. Try and find ways to become extroverts. So we naturally feel alone at moments. Yet when we're with someone that we care about and this person cares about us, we start to change up. And when we say change up, it doesn't mean like we're changing our thoughts. It's like, no, now we're starting to concentrate on, why do I feel sad with this person? Why do I feel when they're not physically around me, or when they don't call me, or when they don't see me, why do I get sad? And when you start to ask yourself those questions and start to face them, you're like, wait, well, what was I doing when they weren't in my life? I was doing this, I was doing that, I was doing that. So am I stopping these things when I'm thinking about this person? Am I stopping these things in hopes that this person will fill that part without them even knowing about it? So let's see. Ah, word? Word, Miss Jones? Oh, wow. Again, yes. Again, your soulmate, our soulmates are here to remind us what makes our mate wants to soul, because of the source. The source. We are a natural orbit of our emotions. If we feel abandoned, it comes out of us. If we feel love, unconditional love, it comes out of us. And our soulmate is there to remind us to give ourselves unconditional love. And if that means that we got to go by what is our tradition, what is our truth, to now plant those roots, then do that. Why we have to plant those roots is because our soulmate helps us to see that we are healers. We are medicine men and medicine women. Soulmates are there to show us why our soul is a mate. Why our soul is a mate in the first place. Why do people want to mate with our soul? And when I say that, why do people want to mate with us as a person? If soul is a little touchy because we can't see our soul, then what makes a mate want to synchronize with us? What makes another person see what matters to us? What makes that person want to see what matters to us? What makes us feel healed? What makes us feel like we matter? What makes us feel like we're treasured? What makes us feel like our tradition does matter, that our truth does matter, that who we are as a person, a being, in the light and in the dark, is worth mating with. So as we're thinking about that, and that doesn't mean that you have to think of marriage. If you are, then marriage is just like a relationship. Before you even go to marriage, what did they say? You got to have a best friend. That person has to be your friend. If they're not your friend, they have that soul energy as they're walking with you as a friend. And they want to know, what does your soul feel in mattering? What do you feel as a being that matters to you? And based on what matters to you, you'll make those moves to make it happen. A soulmate is looking at that. What do you matter? What does matter to you? What does matter to you? Because what matters to you, you'll make those moves in. When something matters to us, we make moves in it. If it didn't matter, we'll mold it over for a minute before we make those moves. But when something really matters, we're not thinking, we're making the moves. Watch me. That's what we feel like. Word, I can't make no moves. Really? Let me show you I can make some moves. And then we make them happen. And it's funny because when our soulmate comes, that's in the time where we're wanting to make things happen. We want to make some movements in our lives. And when we want to make some movements in our lives, that's when our soulmate comes. When we want to make some magical moves, when we want to make manifestation happen, that's when the soulmate comes too. So when you speak on what you want to manifest, or what moves you want to make in your life, or what changes you want to make, and all of a sudden a person comes into your life that you feel is a mirror image of you, like you thought a twin flame is your actual twin that just gives you the mirror, the soulmate is you, this in that form, you looking at you. You know this person is their own self, but they are so much like you. It's like you looking at yourself. You're like, I can't do a mirror on the wall on this one. I'm looking at myself, and they're supposed to be another person. So let's see. No, that's too tight. It's loose. Okay. When we actually start to love ourselves more, when we actually see that the things that do matter to us, we're making those moves, the more we do the moves that we talked about, the more our partner comes into our world even more so. I'm starting to see that. And can you tell me if I'm right or wrong with this one? Or like not right or wrong, but can you tell me another way of looking at it too? Because I like learning. Have you noticed when you're making moves, like movement in what matters to you, not movements in, we all make movement in our lives. We all got to make some moves in our lives. But when you're making those those physical movements that of things that truly matter to you. Like you actually told people what matters to you, told this person that is your soulmate. You notice how the soulmate is a blue card. Emotions. Twin flame brought out the fire, brought out the passion. Soulmate brings out our water, brings out our emotion, brings out our intuition. What do we intuitively feel connected to? What do we feel emotionally wanting to embark on? What we emotionally want to embark on shows in our movements. Our soulmate feels that before even seeing us and then comes closer or interacts with us more. So if you notice how when you emotionally are tied into the things you move in, like when you feel emotionally excited in the things that you're doing, even though it can be emotionally or energetically draining at times, you still feel excited. You're like, I'm happy I'm even doing what matters to me. That's when your soulmate comes even closer to you or reveals a little bit more of their emotions to you or more what they intuitively feel connected to you by. Or is that just me? Like the more I do what emotionally matters to me, what I move based on my intuition, like instinctively, and that's another thing. What you instinctively want to do and need to do, like it's an instinct. It's a primal instinct. Like you just instinctively know what to do, and you're just doing it. You're not questioning it anymore. You're not let's go to the drawing board on it. You're not doing that. Instinctively, you just do without even thinking about where you're going, how you're doing it, why you're doing it. You just know instinctively it is worth walking in. When you are doing that, your soulmate comes even more closer and more with their emotional cup and more with, why they keep their distance and why they leave you alone sometimes. And then when you hear why they keep us alone at moments or why they isolate or why they give us time in our own space, it's so we can have a more balanced life. So that soulmate does not become a smother. So that soulmate doesn't become a suffering to us. So that soulmate does not become a sadness. Instead, yes, we can experience those things, and we have, but that's not what the soulmate wants to just give or receive too. A soulmate wants to show spirituality to you, how you feel to them spiritually. Our soulmate wants to show us how they feel about us sexually. Our soulmate wants to show us how they feel about us sensually. Our soulmate wants to show us how they feel about us in a sacred light. Our soulmate wants to show us how they see us as a success with or without them. With or without them. They want to show us that. Well, this is a test. I'm doing this test right now. I'm about to start on this test next week. Nah, I'm gonna be real. I'm starting this test really tomorrow. I just feel next week because it'll be a whole week when I'm actually physically testing this out. But tomorrow will be my first actual testing ground. I'm actually going to physically go and look at a space for Keykeys Doorway. I'm going to physically, and this is something I never do because I was scared to do it, to physically find a space to make an agency, to make a community center, to actually have a space where we can actually see each other. I'm scared to do that. But I love what I'm doing. And if that requires me to go into a territory that I'm not known to do, so be it. Wow. So, okay. All right, studio. This is going by the soulmate. And this is the question of the soulmate, too. It was mentioned earlier. Um, can an unclean heart bring out passion? Can a clean heart bring out passion? Or is it required? Is it required to have uncleanliness and clean, or imperfections to bring out passion? Because passion equals purpose. Passion equals path. And both passion and path, you have to physically do. Notice the P's. Passion, path, purpose. These 3 P's, you gotta physically do. Even when we got a PP, what do we gotta do? We gotta go to the bathroom. Or we gotta go somewhere that symbolizes a bathroom to us and twinkle. Notice how they say twinkle for P. I was like, how you gonna say twinkle when twinkle, twinkle little star is for a star? Well, it is yellow. My mind, at times. My mind. Anywho. That means we have to physically do what we're passionate about, right, studio? So if you're doing that, then that means it's a reason why you're doing it. And I would like to test myself out with you on that. I would like to test myself out for 7 days with you on that, studio. Because again, my soul mate, or a mate that wants to connect with me as a being, or me as a being wants to connect to that person, our soul is filled with imperfections and perfections. If my soulmate, which I have met, it's a mirror image of me. So whatever I do, this person can do and has done. Y'all know the niceness of me. Y'all don't know the shadow side of me. And the shadow side doesn't mean it got to be scary. It's not like, oh, the shadow side is like, oh my God, it's terrifying. No. A shadow side is just something that people dismiss, or people don't want to bring to light because they're afraid of being shunned for it. The light, when I say, can a pure heart bring more passion, or does it take a pure heart to bring out passion? Does it take an unclean heart to bring out passion? Or does it take an unclean and clean heart to bring out passion? The clean side of me is what you see here. The unclean side of me is I like to drink. Well, let's be real. I'm going to be real. Drinking is really not my specialty. I don't mind drinking. I like wine every now and then. I actually like it. But the thing that my soul really connects to is smoking. And I know a lot of people like, you saying you shouldn't do that, child. I said, yeah, I thought that too when I was young. Yet change of events made me actually smoke. It had not to do with my mom passing. That could have gave the initiative. But it was just mainly, I just got tired of being perfect. I got tired of being perfect and people thinking that I'm always this kind and a pushover and a good doormat, and because I'm perfect, perfect people want to be perfect in everybody's eyes. They want to be pleasing in everybody's eyes. That's what they think perfect is. And even I thought that. And then I used my mom passing and being the oldest I'm the oldest out of my younger two brothers. Even though they look taller than me, I'm the oldest. I got tired of being looked at perfect and, pleasant. And I said, you know what? I'll be smoking. And a cigarette wasn't my first smoke. Like, I smoked cannabis. My first, I guess, smoke was cannabis, marijuana. It wasn't no nicotine. Because again, my thought was, oh, if I smoke the nicotine, if I smoke a cigarette, I'm going to mess up my lungs and I want to keep singing. So if I just smoke a cannabis, I'll be all right. At times, you can't afford a cannabis. What is the next thing a person would smoke? A cigarette. So both smokes are not bad. A lot of people say, yes, it is. It is. It can be. But so can water. Did you know if you drink too much water, you can suffocate yourself? Now, mind you, water is actually good. Yet, when we don't know how to utilize it properly based on our physical body, not based on somebody else's body, but on our physical body, then we would have known how much water to intake so we don't overindulge in it. Same thing with a cigarette, same thing with a drink, same thing with chocolate, same thing with food, same thing with sex, same thing with love, same thing with everything. Moderation. And if you don't want to do the moderation, then you can do the, kick it in the bucket. Like, okay, I don't want to do that anymore. So, studio, I would like to definitely, for the next, starting tomorrow, not do it. And it's interesting. I slowed down on the cigarettes. Like before, when I used to stress out, I used to smoke about 4 cigarettes, maybe 6 in a day. Now, I only do 2, maybe 3. And sometimes I just do 1. Because I am thinking about it. I am thinking about my body. So, even when somebody comes up to me like, oh, you smoking cigarettes, that's bad. Well, yes, it can be bad. But if you talk to me yesterday or last week or last month, I smoked a pack and a blink and we'll go back to get another pack. So, to come from that and now just do 2 or 3, I feel progress. That person don't have to walk home with me. That person don't have to wonder what I'm going to do. So I just have to look at it like, look, I made the progress. Now I could go a little step further and stop. But you know what is my will? What do I want? Do I will it? Then it will be done. If I want to go back to smoking, who's going to tell me no? Yet, I know by not doing for 7 days, it would make my perception on smoking very differently. On definitely being moderate. Because now I got to think about, I want to have a family. I do want to have leisure time. So now I got to start preparing when I have leisure time to do it then. So that requires me to really alter even how I smoke. So this is why I want to step in that walk with you studio, because I've been really contemplating on that and been physically doing it off and on, but not completely fully in a day and even in a week. So I would like to physically walk with you on this process for 7 days. Now, again, yeah, I get to see the shadow side. I don't know how it's going to look. I don't know. I haven't seen me without doing that side of myself. Like, that's like, to me, smoking is like tying my shoe. It's like it's like another necessity or accommodation. It's when you don't have it where you realize, oh, wow, that's the amount of energy and effort I was putting into that time when I was doing that. I won't know until I do not do it. So, soulmates. Speaking of that, soulmate helps us to understand why we want to start something, why we want to have structure, why we even want to even surround ourselves with what we are. It's not where we're just thinking who we are. It's more like what I know I am, I want to physically see it. What I know I can become, I want to see it outside of me. So studio and everybody that's in this talk, your soulmate brings out that aspect of you where, what is my best self? Not for their sake, for me to know. What is my best self? I don't know that. What does it look like? Does it look clean? Does it look unclean? Does it look pure? Does it look unpure? Does it look clean and pure at the same time? How does that look? So when we say, accept me as I am, or how Mary J. Blige said very well, take me as I am, or have nothing at all. So take me as I am, or have nothing at all. What does that mean to you? What is that me? What is that part? What does that me part look like? That's what our soulmate recognize as a tradition. They see it and sense it before we even sense it in ourselves. And why and how they can sense it is because when we're in the 9 of air, we still have this 9. We know what we're going after. We know what guides us in our atmosphere. It's what we think is expecting the worst, self-fulfilling prophecies, and sleepless nights. Expecting the worst. When we want to start something, we stop for a minute. Even a best way to say it, or if you play sports, before you play sports, what do? You look at your opponents, you look at your teammates, you look at what's in front of you that you could utilize before you know what position you hold. But in this situation, you're the starter. So we have no one to really go behind or like team up with to lighten that load. We're our own team. So now, looking at those 9 ways that we are a team, like what is those 9 dimensions of ourselves? 3 nice, 3 not so nice, 3 in between. What are those aspects? Because our soulmate wants us to feel complete. Complete as a complete package already. Do we feel consciously like that? Do we feel we connectedly complete? I know for me, I don't feel complete yet. Until I keep going in the direction that I want to go, because I desire it. I feel the drive to do it. I feel the dedication to do it. Until I keep going in that direction and then feel like I'm finally here. Doesn't mean my work is over, but it's like I'm finally at the stop. I'm finally at the next step, the next stage. It's like playing a game. It's like, you know, when you're on that next step, when you're about to beat or be challenged by the ultimate villain in the game. It's like, you know, you gotta beat this villain to get to the next stage. That's when you know. It's like, once we go through those pains, principles, and like stick it out and walk in that atmosphere, that we really feel admiration, that we really feel anchored towards, that we really feel like, ask me if I want to keep doing this, and I'll say yes. That feeling, that's when we'll know that we are our complete self. That's what the soulmate really wants us to know. And why do they want us to know this? What is the benefit of being our complete selves and actually going on that quest to not only see it, feel it, but move in it? It's because they see justice in that. You see the number 8, right? 8 is Scorpio. Secrets. Where source is. Your secret to why you start in the first place. Your soulmate loves that aspect of us. Our soulmate is more loyal to that side when we bring it out. They become more justified in standing by us. They feel more justified in why they even have that union as a soulmate with us. When we actually go where we physically want to move in, spiritually, mentally, even when it comes to financially, they see that as justice. Why? Because the more we go after the thing that we truly desire, the more we give ourselves love, our own love, self-love, the more they become more validated in mating with us. The more they feel validated in standing by us. If any outside influence try to challenge the union, let somebody talk about you and your soulmate is there. Or when they talk about you, let someone that they know say something on a side mark. They'll put an end to that real quick. Who you talking about again? You do know that I am with that person, right? Oh, you know, you're not that serious. Yes, I am that serious. Now we have a problem. And you will look like, wait, I didn't even think that person would stand or stand up for me or stick up for me. Because they already noticed that you're sticking up for yourself. In your own world. They see that you already loving yourself in your own world. They see that you're doing the things that you really, truly love to do in the world. They see that you understand and overstand what your heart truly heals and desires to do. And that makes them loyal, want to ride or die anytime. And 8 plus 2, they also see that as a real intoxicating, really, and it's not intoxicating, really a trait in a person, in a spouse that they always wanted. 8 plus 10 is the house of Capricorn, the house of family, the house of the company we keep, the house of communion, the house of family. And if they ever wanted to build a family with you, those are aspects that they actually look at as a trait. Not just something they tally. They look at that as an actual trait that they treasure. Why they treasure that trait? Look at that 9 is the reason why we have 9 here then. We just had to get to the green part. Because they already see us as self-employed, self-sufficient, self-loving, self-worthiness. They see the be, the me in you. And it's outside of you now in the environment. When you bring out your natural expression of who you are without any bias, any judgment, they come as the Ace of Fire. And everybody knows, or as Sunshine Tarot says, Ace of Fire is when they like to get physical. In Universal Talk, Ace of Fire, not just they want to get physical, but now they want to start bringing physical opportunities. They want to bring acknowledgement. When you are in that self-love, self-discovery, understanding others, because when we do self-love, people think that that means you're being selfish or you're not caring about others. No, when you do self-love, you actually love others. When you give yourself self-love, it makes you look at other people more differently. When you're doing that, you're not realizing that that's changing your energy. That's even changing your physical makeup. To now, people are seeing you very alluring. They're seeing you very addictive too. They see you as aspiration, admiration. And when others are seeing you like that, what would make us think that our soulmate doesn't realize that either? They're just going to come and acknowledge that and actually act on it. Because if everybody else is seeing what I see in my mate, I got to start physically showing the actions that I truly value this union. Why? Because you give them strength to go on in their life too. When you do things that make you strong, when you do things that make you want to start and go, that gives the soulmate the strength to do what they wanted to do. It's finally meeting someone that matches you without even trying. And from you walking in your strength allows that person to find their strength and then walk in it, which makes you more attractive. And to give it a bonus, 7 of water. They're going to stop the seeking. And if they do seek, guess what? They are looking at every stages that you set in your world. What are the stages that you set in your world when you were walking in that self-love, in that acknowledgement of who you are? It had to be steps and stages. When there are steps and stages, when it's time to talk, when it's time to, in the 11th house is Aquarius, and they're all about the agriculture, the architect, the body work of the actual vessel. They're going to ask you, what did you physically do? What are the steps you made in your world to make the things that you have done possible? When you get that response from your soulmate, you're going to start to see that your soulmate's been watching you all this time. Kiddos, you thought you were watching your soulmate was watching you at the same time. So however you move, that's how they're going to move. This in their own way. But you'll feel the essence is the same. because the essence ties into what matters to you is truly what matters to your soulmate. Maybe y'all haven't talked it out yet. Maybe it has been talked about, but not really talked about. It's been like taunted a little bit or teased a little bit or like lightly talked about, but not really talked about like what we're doing right now. You'll start to see that in the month of February, going into March. So, I hope that finding an analogy on twin flame, soulmates, and karmic relationships, they all equal to one key element: passion. You had to have passion in all those three relationships that were mentioned. You had to have passion in a karmic relationship. You had to have passion in a soulmate relationship. You had to have passion in a twin flame relationship. And that passion had you walk a way, physically act a certain way, and move and react in a way. Now that we have learned ways of looking at twin flames, karmics, and soulmate, how can we utilize that? Being a knight of water, go after the things you want in the world. When we go after the things we want in the world, whether you're with a twin flame, karmic, or soulmate, you'll bring out your emperor inside of you. Because naturally, we all are emperors and empresses, trying to figure out what empire or enterprise to make. When we're doing that, it will require us to become that king of fire. To know that the moves that we make do matter. And it doesn't just matter to us. It matters to everyone and everything that is going to influence after we make that move. So when it comes to being that pioneer in our atmosphere, we'll know that it's coming from our logical standpoint. That we are very honest because we had to experience karmic relationship, twin flames, and soulmates to understand no matter what, passion has purpose. Purpose has a path. Path has a physical element that we gotta do. And it's not even gotta do, that we already do. We just haven't noticed that we were doing it. Now we're physically knowing that we're doing that. And when we physically know that we're making those moves and that we are bringing out that king of fire, queen of fire, what really motivates us, what really drives us, we'll start hitting that pavement. Again, pavement, we're becoming a pioneer. And before you become a pioneer, we hit the pavement. We start walking and moving in the environment that matches with our emotions. The more we do it, the more we're going to get that union. We're going to get that collaboration. We're going to get that communication that we always wanted. We're going to get that celebration when it comes to seeing that what matters does manifest. What matters does make things happen. What matters to us passionately does give a purpose for others to have a path to go through. Sometimes we can have a path, but if we haven't physically seen it, then how can we walk it? That's why we had to go through twin flames, karmic, and soulmates. To find what is that passion, what is that path, what is that physical action we must take. If that means communicating with flair, do that. If that means communicating with a more understanding of what your foundation is, do that. If communicating in regards to how you flirt in the world. Do that. How do you flirt? How do you find yourself? Because when we do find ourselves through those avenues, that 5 of earth is going to be gone. We're not going to be worried about the changes because we know the change is going to bring the money. We know the change is going to bring everything that we always wanted. It's all about now understanding that we take the lead in whatever we want. If we want it, then we got to lead in that. Why? Because that's when we get the give and take. When we lead and make those changes, that's when we get the give and take because we're physically doing the work. You work hard, you can play hard. You give, people won't naturally give it back. So, when we have this issue of feeling and knowing that the end of a difficult situation is near, is because we already did the trials and tribulations. We already did the trails. We already did the moves. The moves require a trail. And when we do that trail, when we walk that trail, people will see that we are the king of our atmosphere. We'll know we're the king of our atmosphere. That's what attracts people to us in the first place. So, let's balance our emotions. Let's balance our activity when what we're going to be active in. Let's balance if that activity does align with what we truly hold as a standard, as value. And how do we communicate that through our energy, through our actions? Because the way we communicate through our actions and our reactions show what we really do feel connected to. So, we're going to be balancing out that ego. There's nothing wrong with an ego. It's how we use it and how it's being perceived. Again, ego can be enduring or endangered. It's all about the feeling we get when we look at our ego. So even looking at our perception of ego will change our position too. So, until we meet again in the Universal Talk, I hope the definitions I gave can give you a guide on how to see in a different way. If you want to use what I say or see how you can make it in your own way, like any definition, you can make it your own way, define it in your own way, and see how that does translate in your reality. Thank you guys for being in the talk room with me, for being in the Universal Talk, especially on Valentine's Day. Thank you. If this Universal Talk you feel translate with you, like, share, subscribe. If you would like to get a deeper reading for Valentine's Day, I'm doing a Valentine's Day month gift. Check the Valentine's Day month gift video. Look in the description box below in that video to see how to reach out to me. If you would like to have me as your personal key or guidance or someone of counsel to just talk to, look in the description box below to see how you can reach out to me. If you would like to donate to the Universal Talk, go in the description box below. There you will see Keykeys.Doorway PayPal. When you click into that, it will show you, or it will take you to the portal of Krystal Clear. and then it would say Keykey's Doorway. Krystal Clear is my daughter's name. I do shea butters with my daughter. We both have eczema, and we help other people with eczema, and we learn different herbs and teas and waters, different types of waters to use to better the skin, the hair, and we're still learning. So when you tap the Keykeys Doorway PayPal account, when you see Krystal Clear, do not get along. That's my daughter's name. That's our other business, but Keykeys Doorway is underneath that name. That's how you know that you're donating to me, Key, as your key. Thank you for walking in this doorway. Thank you for going through this tunnel with me. Thank you for walking on the other side with me as well. And me with you. Because you didn't just walk with me in this talk. I had to walk with you to understand what to speak and talk of. I love you guys. I love you for being here. So, and if you would like to know when I'm on, when I'm doing the readings or talks or universal class, press the bell button. When you're pressing the subscription button, it's a bell button right next to it. Press the bell button. It will turn blue. When it turns blue, that's when you know when I'm on. So you don't have to worry about me announcing when I'm coming on. It will automatically tell you, Key's on. It's all about if you want to view it. Okay? So thank you guys. Thank you, Nephis. I hope, Nephis, that I answered your questions in regards to twin flame soulmates and karmic relationships. You actually, from you reminding me of this today, helped me to understand that I really didn't need to talk about it, not just for talking's sake, but because, like you guys, I'm experiencing it. And I like to talk about things I'm experiencing. I just tuck it under the rug because I don't know if it's something that would be of a topic that really gets to your heart. Because that's what I really look towards. Getting to the heart of a matter. So thank you for getting to the heart of the matter with me and me with you. I love you guys. I love you. I'll see you on the other side. Bye. Bye, guys. Let's see. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jones. Thank you, Nephis. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Sheskin. Sheskin? Getty. I gotta start. I'm learning how to pronounce words now. Thank you, Studio. Thank you, Jones. Thank you, everybody that came. Thank you. Share this reading. Share this talk with others. Like, share, subscribe. That's all I gotta say. I can't wait to see you next time. Yeah, cause Studio, you'll be seeing me. We all gonna be doing it. Look, you gonna see. You just gonna see the reaction. Let's say that. What happens when I don't do up in smoke? When I don't do a chi chung on us. Don't mean I don't like it. I like it. I'm a shaman at heart. I like smoke. So this gonna be new. Like I've done it before, but not to this level. Not to this level. Even Nephis could tell you, like, I'll do a day and then go back, then do 2 days and go back, then do 3 days. I haven't done a straight 7 days. So this is gonna be new. So I'm already excited. I'm anxious though. We're gonna see. So I'll see you when I see you guys. I don't know when that's gonna be, but I'll see you soon.